Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Big Lee's Worlds podcast. It is I, your host, Big Lee, coming to you on the road at location today in Noble, Illinois for the 01 show. And today, I have with me a very interesting guest. Somebody that, had you told me 2 years ago would be on my podcast, I would have probably told you were nuts and get away from me. Today, I have with me none other than the problem child, Mr. Aaron Roberts. Aaron, how's it going today?
Man, I'm pretty good. I don't know if I should be offended by that or not.
Well, I mean, I think I mentioned this once before on Twitter. You and I did not have the best of introductions.
No.
I still don't understand, how it got to that point, besides the fact that everyone seemed to apologize when you left.
Are you talking about with Caleb?
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you, you tell me your side, I'll tell you my side, and then we can piece together what happened there.
All right. So I was losing weight at the time, right? So I was almost 400 pounds, and I thought I was going to die. So when he told me that you guys were making fat jokes on him, I took offense to it personally. And so I felt like fat jokes are a no-go for me right now. And that was my biggest gripe with the situation.
See, for what I remember about that, I don't actually remember a fat joke. I think it was if I remember right, it was a joke about how terrible he was. And for what I remember, it was, I forgot, it was some kind of angle they were doing down there, and they had him doing something completely stupid.
Probably.
And at that time, it was kind of like we were, what's the best way to say it, I guess? I don't like to sugarcoat things, but the best way to put it would be like, I don't like to say big time, because in that chat, that training chat especially, there was nobody there that was in any shape to be big timing anybody.
Yeah.
And, there had been some issues going on with him and stuff like that, as far as like with the training and some of the things that had been said and how he was putting over things. So, at that time.
So he was giving y'all the big time.
Yeah, basically he was giving us the big time, and in that same situation, it's like, well, Cape and at that time Newbern is, a good 2 hours away.
Yeah, roughly.
So our trainees and the people that were running the training is only hearing these secondhand things of what's being said and done and stuff like that. So for one of us to actually go down there, which was, a quite surprise for him, especially considering, oh yeah, they're never going to come down there. But I think a lot of folks tend to forget, like, I can show up at these shows in Arkansas and Tennessee because I have family in the area. So it's not like I'm going to make some wild and crazy trip down there just to see somebody. And actually, the reason we went down there because we were bored to begin with.
Yeah.
And that's how we ended up there. And I knew that, Sanchez, Jerry, and Rob Van Mater and stuff like that's going to be there.
Where's that guy at, man?
That's funny. We had that conversation in the car. And, Rob, if you're listening to this, where are you, buddy?
I know he was training in Union City a while back before Cape ever, maybe when it started, but he was coming to Union City a long time ago. Him and his buddy Caleb, they were both coming up there.
Yeah.
Eventually, they both stopped coming. I think Caleb does more like bodybuilding, and he's more in the gym, does stuff with that from what I've seen on Facebook.
Okay.
But I ain't seen nothing from Rob in forever, man.
I haven't either. I talked to him maybe about a year ago was the last time I heard from him. But yeah, so anyway, after all that deal went down, and, Sarge ended up being a voice of reason, being like, hey, everyone's kind of family, and, Caleb's a little something to deal with, so, which, if anything, I don't know if he ever told you this, or if Sarge ever told you, but, it was one of those things that, like, he ended up, like, calling Caleb in there to the room. And it's like, so y'all gotta imagine, like, we're in this little, like, I wouldn't even say this room's like 10 feet wide.
Yeah, it's not very wide.
So, like, he called Caleb in there, like a sad little child, to come and say how he wanted to officially quit the Cape training program. And once he decided, I guess Sarge was there to help him build up his confidence to do it. And he looked like a scared little kid trying to quit. And then he's like, oh, I remember the last thing he said to us was he's like, man, I hope there's no hard feelings there. And it's like, dude, like, I'm 2.5 hours away from home. And now I'm thrown into some weird and crazy thing because you started a situation. And all of a sudden now you want to be innocent until we're all face to face.
Yeah, see, I don't know, like, the whole background. All I was told was whatever the comment was in the group chat at that time, he told it to me. And then I was like, who's that? And he was like, he's in there in the office. So I went into the office. I was saying my goodbyes. So I was dapping everybody up. And Sarge was like, this is Lee. I was like, I know who he is. And that's when we had our little confrontation. But I just heard what little part I heard. And I know it was enough to get me riled up. I don't know the whole situation. I know Caleb was a good dude to me. He never said anything against, like, out of the way to me.
Or at least that you knew of.
That I knew of, yeah. Well, I mean, that's everybody. Anybody could talk something.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was one of those things, like, it happened, and I remember being pretty agitated when I left. I think it was more of an agitation along the lines of, like, I'm one of those people, I really could not care less if people like me, hate me, or whatever. Like, I've always been that way.
Yeah.
I come from a small circle of friends, and, you know, we're ride or die loyal to the end. So, any other person, like, I could care less about. So, but it just really aggravated me more of kind of like a respect thing, because I was like, who is this kid?
Yeah, I mean, I can see
And
that.
this is going to be the same kid that's going to try to come on down to when I was in ownership of CCW. And, you know, this kid's going to want opportunity, and then he's going to see that, well, wait, this is the same guy like I just was hostile to in some locker room. So, anyways.
I never, like, I'm the type of guy that if I got something to say, I'm going to say it.
Right.
I don't really care, like, what position you hold or, like, what your situation is. If I want to say something to you, I'm probably going to say it.
Right.
And, I mean, it's probably going to screw me at some point, but it's working so far.
Oh, yeah, it happens. But, yeah, so nonetheless, like, I remember talking to some people about it, and I was like, you ain't going to believe what happened. And we just kind of, you know, talked about it that weekend and didn't think anything else about it. And then I know it was a few months later that it was pitched that you and your old tag partner were coming in to work in CCW. I think it's at the Chaffee show.
Yeah, that shit was cold.
Yeah. I was trying to remember, did y'all do the Chaffee show? I don't remember if it was the Chaffee show.
We debuted in Charleston. We came in through the crowd in Charleston and set up a match in Chaffee. Our first match was in Chaffee.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember, I don't remember, was y'all in the ring? Somebody I was having to stand at the barricade for, because...
That was us.
Okay. Because I know in Missouri, you know, there's like the whole no contact with the fans.
We didn't have license yet.
Yeah, and the booker forgot to tell me that was actually going to happen. So I'm literally sitting in the back corner over there talking with one of my buddies that lives there, and trying to sling raffle tickets. And then I see this happening, and then I see the booker kind of getting a little worried. And I'm thinking, oh great, I'm going to have to go over there. So I go over there, but in the meantime, when he pitched to me that y'all were coming in, I remember he told me, he was like, yeah, you know, we're going to probably try to get the King's Court in.
Yeah.
I said, who? And he said it again. I was like, why does that name sound familiar? And then when he told me, I was like, really? He's like, oh yeah, but don't worry, there's no heat or anything like that, because everything's like, it was just a big misunderstanding. And at that point, I was pretty well burnt out, and I was like, okay, whatever. And then especially the fact that, you know, it was going to lead to us being out in the freezing cold.
Yeah, it was
cold. So I was like, you know, if you're going to suffer, we're going to suffer together here.
Yeah.
So, but needless to say, y'all made y'all's debut. You know, the fans really liked it, and, you know, all good things. You know, you were running the tag team division there for a little bit, but it looks like, so I guess, what happened there? It looks like the tag team's over for the King's Court.
It's just pretty much, like I said it before, it's pretty much just a difference of goals.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it to, you know, towns all across, you know, the United States, worldwide. I'm going to be on international television. Addison Kane, he's more so, you know, he wants to be kind of a local hero, and he'll tell you that.
And ripping off the hooligan name.
Well, like I said, man, I told you this before we started. It was given to him. I don't even know if they knew who they were when it started. But I think they've talked since then. Like, I feel like...
Yeah,
I know Addison and my brother, JP, they wrestled the hooligans a couple times.
Uh-huh.
So I don't think there's any heat with them. So I think it was just like misunderstandings.
Yeah.
Everything's a misunderstanding.
That's the wrestling. That's indie wrestling for you.
Yeah. But, like, I tried to do the singles thing. You know, every time I try to do the singles wrestling, I end up in another tag team.
Uh-huh.
Well, and that's what's happening now.
Yeah, I was going to say, you know, you're doing your singles run. You're here tonight in 01 in Noble, Illinois. And you're not in a tag. You're not in a tag team.
I'm
here.
in a triple threat.
You're in a triple threat.
Yes,
Okay.
For the UIWA heavyweight title
Okay.
with man, I sound like an idiot, but I don't remember the guy's name.
It happens. That's the thing with indie wrestling. There's so many names and stuff like that. It's hard to keep it all straight. Which
Pfeiffer.
Kyle Pfeiffer.
Yeah, that guy, and mustache guy.
I don't know the mustache guy.
He looks like a cop on the poster, so
Is his name Tanner?
Tanner, yeah. He's
Okay.
an op. He seems like an op, but
Okay.
it's just,
Yeah, because I was gonna say I've seen him in there, but I didn't know who he was. And then someone had said that name. So you have that going, but your real big focus right now is you started another tag team.
yeah, man. Well, it's something. It's been brewing for months. Me and Zay Washington, we're going to be known as the Young Goats. Don't worry, I know Myron Reed goes by it. We've got the clarification from him. We've talked to him. We got the okay with it. It's no hooligan situation. We got the okay with the name. We've been riding together to all these shows and wrestling each other for months now. So we decided that, having the option of being one of the best tag teams, having the option to book those guys, we want to have, we want to be that person that you could bring in for a singles match, you can bring in for the tag matches, whatever it takes, to make it. That's our main goal for both of us. And if another tag teams would do it, then I'm here for it. And if it's one of the best, we're both 19. We're both from small town Tennessee.
They're both just two little babies right now in the business.
We've both been doing this for 8 years, and it hurts.
Because, I don't know much about Zay. I know the name was pitched to me because I think he made his CCW debut at that same Chaffee show, didn't he?
Maybe.
I want to say so because that's when
I remember he was there. I don't remember. I think he may have wrestled Slammer. Mr. 100 wrestled Slammer. He wrestled somebody.
Yeah, because I remember when I was told he was coming in, I was like, who is that? Which anybody that listens to this podcast knows it's not like, oh, Lee doesn't know these up-and-coming indie wrestlers. Yeah. Lee's, notoriously known for following deathmatch wrestling. Right. So, you talk about those up-and-comers there, I can talk to your head about, but some of these up-and-coming, and honestly, I don't know how you feel. I want to ask you about this. I don't know if you call it a gift, I don't know if it'd be a gift and a curse, or if you just think it's something you got to shake. Outside of West Tennessee, it seems like a lot of people have a very negative opinion of West Tennessee wrestling.
I feel like inside West Tennessee, a lot of people have a negative opinion of West Tennessee. I'm learning very quickly. So I was forced to wrestle in West Tennessee for 6 years because I started wrestling when I was 13. So I had to wait till I was 18 to get out. But it was so negative and toxic for so long. And some of the guys are actually really good. And if they would have tried harder, I don't want to say tried harder because I don't want to sound like a bad guy, but I feel like a lot of people didn't put all the effort they could have into making it, so they decided that they were okay with being a local hero.
Right.
That's not me. Now I'm seeing that going to all these different towns that it's really supportive everywhere else. Like it's the total opposite of West Tennessee anywhere else I've been so far.
Yeah, it's anytime like I heard in the CCW meetings that somebody from West Tennessee was coming, I was like, oh, really? And y'all, there were a few that stood out. Y'all and Zay did really good, and like when we started, I was familiar from like I said going down to LAW, so I knew Jeff Odell and Del Tucker, stuff like that. So I was familiar with those guys, and then as these younger guys were starting to come in, it's one of those things. It's like I said, it has such a negative notation. You're just like because in Tennessee, Illinois is kind of similar in the fact of there's not as many requirements to wrestle. So in the state of Missouri, just to run a show, you got to have license, blood work, physical for the wrestlers, and you got to have permit, bonded, insurance, and all that other mess. So Missouri seems to really kind of, I don't want to say step up on the talent, but they make sure that there's a diehards that are going to really want to actually put the effort into making your show look good versus any Joe Blow off the street. Yeah,
I wouldn't say Missouri's got the best talent because there's a few guys that.
Oh yeah,
there's a few guys.
That's a whole other podcast of the people I don't like in Missouri, and why certain promotions in Missouri don't get supported like some of the others do. I guess is the right way to say it. And there are some promotions in Missouri that only get by because they book a big name.
And I don't want to say it's similar to Tennessee in that way, but like Tennessee, we've got all the show. We've got like 4 shows in a 30-mile radius.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes. Everybody that gets mad because they can't wrestle on a show opens a show. So that's pretty much how it goes. But everybody, there's always the loyal fans that come in, each and every week, but most shows make their money off of bringing somebody in.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, and that's the thing though, if you can run a show down there and draw weekly, and if you can do it at a low price point, then go for it. I was talking with Caleb from the Four Sides. Shout out to Caleb on the way up here about that, and the cost to running a show in Missouri is so much, like I just said. You can't run weekly, so places like Tennessee can run weekly, and they could build storylines and talent and stuff like that. But eventually, you're gonna start repeating yourself, and I think some people may need to take a break from it, and I think that can hurt the door and stuff like that. But I definitely agree that you talk about like in a 30-mile radius because you got a show in Dyersburg.
Yep.
And
Newbern.
then is EIW still running?
Yeah, you got a show in Dyersburg, a show in New Bern, a show in Ripley, a show in Trenton. There's 15 shows in Memphis.
And then Jackson, whenever
Jackson, well, USA, they're kind of all over. They do TV in Jackson, but they usually run like their main shows more middle to East Tennessee.
Okay.
They're like Gladeville, around the Nashville area, somewhere like in those towns.
Okay, yeah, because I said I've only been to a couple in Jackson.
Yeah.
I went to when they were out in the baseball field.
They do the baseball field. They did that one, and then they run the Omen a lot. Like that's their. I think they do the Omen on either Saturdays or Sundays.
I went to the Omen once for when they brought in Road Dogg.
Uh-huh.
And it's one of those things like they have a good talent. I don't think the crowds appreciate it. I know one of the standout matches that night was Blake Christian versus Ray Phoenix. Or not Ray Phoenix, Ray Fury.
Yeah.
And it seemed like the crowd didn't quite appreciate it as much as some of the other matches that...
They're punch and kick fans, man.
Yes.
They just like to see you be dirty, dirty bad guys. Poke somebody in the eye and scratch their back.
Oh, man. I was telling this all in the car. So, for those of you that don't know, from Cape Girardeau to here is a good, solid, almost 3-hour drive. So, we had a lot to talk about, man, at Caleb. And one of the things I was telling him about was some of my adventures to LAW, which is now EIW. And some of the things I got to witness there. Besides some talents who were so drunk they almost fell off the ramp. But I'm sure you could probably guess who that was.
Yeah, I got a couple in mind.
It's bad when it's like not one particular person. You're like, it could be a list of like 10.
Yeah, it's weird, man. It's like, I love it, but I hate it. It's home, though,
Right.
It's home.
Like Parkway Drive says, home is where the heart is. And if you know the rest of that saying, then you probably just chuckled. But
I didn't know it, that's why I didn't laugh. Sorry.
I'll tell you after air. But anyways, so one of the angles they had did, there was a TV show that had ran down there called Wrestling with Death.
Uh-huh.
So growing up, now this was way before Wrestling with Death, like where I lived at in the Boot Hill, there was no Memphis wrestling. Like we were like 13 miles from the cutoff of where Memphis wrestling the broadcast ended.
Okay.
So we would only see Memphis wrestling if we went to whenever they did a show in Crothersville or Kennett. So I never got to fully experience like the whole weekly story and all these names that came in.
Yeah, you were just a spot show town.
Yeah.
I got you.
So whenever LAW would bring in these Memphis guys, like I had no idea who they were. Like I remember, I think they brought in Tim and Mike Dial.
Yeah,
I had no idea who they were. They brought in, I think, Flash Flanagan one time.
Flash Flanagan.
I had no idea who
Flash
he was.
Flanagan, man, he's been all over the place. He did Memphis TV and stuff. He went down to Puerto Rico for a while. I mean, he was in the clusterfuck at Janela Spring Break.
Mm-hmm.
He's been. I don't know. It was so random to see that he was announced for the clusterfuck. When I seen it, I was like, how where's Flash been?
Yeah,
like he's been. I haven't seen Flash Flanagan's name in years. And
well, that was one of
him pop up again.
Like I said, that was one of the things. Like I had no idea who he was, but they were running an angle when right after that Wrestling with Death had started getting really popular, and they had brought in some of the talent or some of the people from the show, and apparently it was very hot in New Bern. I guess because New Bern is not far from Osceola. I guess.
Yeah, New Bern and Osceola is probably like an hour and a half.
Okay, so like they had brought in an angle, and whoever, I forgot who it was, but if I remember right, I think it was like the mama or the sister or somebody had ended up getting a heel beat down, and like they had to turn the lights on the show. They were pushing everybody out, making announcements. If you're not part of the show, you have to leave, because these people were losing their minds.
Yeah.
And I'm
Tennessee's crazy, bro. It's so easy to work a Tennessee crowd.
Oh yeah.
It's like you don't have to do like that. That's my biggest I guess my biggest critique in like the West Tennessee area is that I want to do too much, but you really don't have to do much in West Tennessee. If you just be a really bad guy and have a really good guy, they're gonna go balls to the walls for anything you do.
I will say with West Tennessee also, they do have a lot of loyal fans that, like you say, will show up weekly. Like, and like they make imprint on you basically. Like I remember there was this older lady at EIW and LAW, and she'd always carry a baseball bat.
Miss Beverly.
Oh,
Miss Beverly.
You know her by name,
bro. I'm telling you, I grew up in those crowds, and then I started wrestling in front of those crowds. I've been around most people that you can think of. Like, I know several fans by name. You know, there's a lot of them I don't know, but
yeah. But I just like she had the baseball bat and she'd swing it at the bad guys.
I'll kick her. I've told her. She hits me with that thing. I'm kicking her in the jaw. I don't care how old she is.
Because every time I think always the worst I seen her was when the Hustlers came out.
Yeah.
And boy, she hated her some Hustlers.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why too. But so yeah, you talk about that. So like, you kind of come from West Tennessee wrestling royalty, I would say, right?
Something like that. I mean, I think my family deserves more credit than they get in the area, to be honest with you. My dad, I feel like my dad could have made it.
Yeah.
But he chose family life over going to shows and stuff like that, which I respect. My uncle, Chris Rocker, he was doing Memphis TV and stuff back in the day. I got cousins all over the place doing it. My brother does it. My family's married to other people that are wrestling. It's the whole bloodline. It runs deep in West Tennessee, but I'm trying to be the guy that gets out.
Yeah, that's one of the things like you want to always try to break away from your family. But I wasn't until I was told. Like I think I told you this in a DM. You know, I didn't realize like how far you were tied into the family and everything.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty deep.
Yeah, I didn't. Like I said, I didn't know that. And when I was told that, I was like, huh, really? So, but like I said, you know, the past is the past. Like, you've made it this far. And you said, so your top focus is the Young Goats?
Yeah, pretty much our top focus is making it. The two of us. Both of us want to make it. And we feel like if it's against each other, with each other, you know, whatever options we got to put out to make that happen, you know, we're willing to do that. And we really think that we could be one of the best tag teams. You know, coming from 19, starting teaming up at 19, there's only better we can get. And, like, we're working week in and week out in ring. You know, we're doing stuff that nobody else, definitely in our area, is doing. Because we have to beg people to come in to work out with. So, you know, we're the guys putting in the work at 19. We've been doing this for 8 years, so we understand, like, the Memphis gimmicks. Like, we understand how to do the business because of the way everything's ran in Memphis area.
Right.
So I think this is our main focus, is making it as a tag team and getting where we want to be.
But you're not opposed to working one another?
Of course not. I believe there's a possibility of us wrestling each other next Saturday in Bristol, Tennessee. So
where's Bristol?
It's like in the very edge of East Tennessee, like in the very corner. It's like a 6-hour drive from me. It's a pretty good drive, but you know it's opportunities.
That's right, man. You got to make them towns, and like you said, you know, people like, you know, they fall. Well, I keep going back to West Tennessee because that's just where, you know, kind of tie you and I together.
Yeah.
But you get those people that like don't really leave that area, and they're such great talent. For me, a great example is that, and I've always felt this way, is Del Tucker.
Yeah.
Del Tucker should be way bigger than what he is now.
Yeah. I agree. I love Del.
You know, Del was one of my favorites when he was coming into CCW. And, you know, unfortunately he, you know, stepped away from Missouri Wrestling. And
it's more than that. Del, he's he's been doing this forever. Like, similar to me, he started really young. And so by the time he was going to CCW, he was already pretty much burnt out on it.
Yeah.
So, like, at this point, he comes in, does a few spot shows just to get the itch off. And then he's, back to working, taking care of the family, and he's doing tattoos and stuff now. So I think that's, I think it's just more of an itch thing for him now.
And that's really sad because, like I said, I've seen him over the years down in New Bern and stuff like that, and in Union City. That's what I want to talk about. Man, there was a time Union City was the spot to be.
Yeah. Let me tell you who was booking it then? My pops.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was running it. You're talking about around the time when Rikishi came in and we packed the building out, had to tear walls down to get more fans in.
So the first time I went was when Vader came.
Vader, okay. So by that time, Sarge was running it.
Okay.
So whenever my dad took it over, he took over the books, and Sarge was his guy that helped him out. Dad had too much going on, so Sarge eventually took over the books. But still, for years, Union City was the place to be. And I'm pretty, that's where I broke in at. So that's where I was trained. That's where I had my first matches and stuff like that. And I look back on it fondly. I mean, I'd like to go back to that building, but I don't guess the way that everything went down at the end was ideal for the people that are running it now.
So, I don't know what happened. I know that, I hadn't heard from them. It seemed like it'd been a hot minute since I seen anything. And then someone told me they had changed something else that came in there called Quality Pro Wrestling.
It's the same owner. They just rebranded and everything. Becky Bobo, her and her ex-husband owned it when we came in. And then my dad was doing the books for him. And then at this point, I believe she still owns it. They've divorced since. She still owns it. I believe Skylar Devins has a pretty good hand in everything up there. I don't know too much about the business. I know Dylan Blake. I think he's their heavyweight champion. That guy has got so much potential, but he's another one of those guys that don't want to leave their town.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks, but everything went down pretty rough. Sarge is like a drama queen, right? So he just ups and makes a decision one day, and then it's over with. So he just up and quit one day. Took everything down. Then my dad retook over the books for a week. And then Sarge has his little guys that always follow him. And my dad's one of those guys. Mm-hmm. They're best friends and everything. So they left. I was 14, so I didn't really have a choice.
Right.
So I left. And a lot of the guys left. So they pretty much got, for the most part, a brand new batch of talent in there.
It doesn't, I don't know if you want to call this a shoot or not, but from what I've seen of it, don't seem like it really, the current way it's done apparently is not packing the house.
I've seen, the way it goes is you're not going to post pictures of your crowd unless it's pictures you want to see, right? So the only pictures I've seen, they've had some good crowds, and those are on the bigger events and stuff like that. But I couldn't tell you how the weekly shows are going. I don't even want to lie and say there's 2 people there, or lie and say there's 200.
Because it seems like, but also I feel like Union City's another one of those towns that name really helps.
Yeah.
Although I've seen a name backfire there.
What's that?
I was there when Moose came, and that did not.
He came on one of the Ashley McClures, right? Or was that a?
So that was a show. Remember that? I don't know if it's still a thing or not because wrestling fans tend to annoy me with some of the stuff that they talk about quite often. And this Facebook group called the Cult of Kayfabe.
Cult of Kayfabe, got you.
It was just a big old gathering of a bunch of people that were annoying.
Yeah,
but
I knew it was either a Jason show or that show.
But it was one of those things. It's so with Moose, Moose was in Ring of Honor. I don't feel like the Union City market is a Ring of Honor style market. I don't know if Ring of Honor ever ran Memphis.
I don't think,
because it always go to Nashville.
Bringing in the hot indie guys is not going to do much for you in West Tennessee. Right. If you want somebody there, you want to find an old head who can still go. Mm-hmm. And people are going to come pay to see it. Because,
the place, I remember the place was packed when Vader was there. Yeah. The place was packed when X-Pac was there. Yeah. And somebody that always seemed to draw surprisingly good, even though he's an indie guy, and he's a good friend of mine. And that's Too Tough Tony.
He came that first time I believe he came like one time on one of those big packed shows,
Right.
where there was another name involved, and the Flaming Punch, people are gonna want to come back and see it. So every time he came back after that, I believe they were hooked for it.
Was you at the Vader show?
Yeah.
When Vader came out through a tent. Rest in peace, Vader. First off, anybody knows me knows I love Vader. Vader's one of my all-time favorites. But I have to say, that night, he was a little rough. I heard he came out there and cut the promo because I think it was like a 4-way match. Before it was a 4-way hardcore match. And I think they had Tax in the ring.
Maybe.
And he came out there cutting a promo, like complaining about how it's not real wrestling and, they shouldn't be doing Tax. And
they did a 6-man that night. It was
Vader and his boy.
Vader, his son, and I think Simon Reed from the Posse against my dad, TJ, and somebody else. But TJ took an ass whooping that match. Because Vader didn't want to work with my dad for some reason. I don't know what the deal was there. But
probably because your dad's, not the smallest of people.
yeah, he's not a small guy, so he's not going to get bitched out.
Yeah,
my dad's been doing this for almost 30 years, bro. He's not going to get his ass kicked for nothing.
Right, yeah. I mean, I'm sure Vader probably wanted somebody small and,
He beat the shit out of TJ.
Yeah, I could, because I remember because they did the day before, or not the day before, the morning of, they did that car lot show.
Yeah.
And I remember Vader was just out there selling gimmicks. And I don't know, and that's some of those other things, is like, with West Tennessee, I think about, is like, I don't know if it just seems odd to me, coming from, like, the other side of the curtain and seeing some of the stuff. But one of my favorite characters was Jay Moore.
Yeah.
But it was always funny because somehow he would always end up like in a war, an anti-war with Too Tough Tony. And I remember some of the deals with him, and he would cut these anti-Juggalo promos. And then anybody, like, he cut one that day against Too Tough Tony.
Yeah,
I remember
crazy.
that. And then, like, you watch him get in the back of his car, and it had, like, a giant hatchet man on the back of the car.
Most of the time, the hats he wore out to the ring had a hatchet man on them. I don't remember those promos, but that's pretty funny. Jay Moore, he was a hell of a manager, bro.
I don't know what happened to him. Like, last I seen, he had came to do one of the Cape show.
He did the Charleston show,
and then he never showed back up. And then somehow he ended up with Then Trindle ended up with Showtime, and then
I know in West Tennessee there's some heat between Jay Moore and Showtime. So the promoters would pick their favorite.
Yeah,
and Jay Moore kind of got the boot, and Showtime was a new face in town for a while, and that's what happened in Union City. Showtime came in, Jay Moore was gone. That was pretty much the last I seen of Jay Moore. Jay Moore would pop up every once in a while with NRG, Anton LaVey, and Ricky Andrews. He would pop up with those guys at one show, and then the next time I seen him was at Cape. And
but does Jay Moore have heat with Hood Time?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know if they've met. Jay Moore did used to be a prison guard, so perhaps he did meet Hood Time.
Well, that's true.
I couldn't tell you.
But like I said, I love Hood Time or Showtime, and I love Hood Time too.
Yeah,
but
it's a little stereotypical, but it works in Memphis.
So, actual funny story about that. That going back to where we started this conversation at with our first meeting. Before you had gotten in there, I was in the room with Showtime and Sarge, and he had introduced me officially. Sarge had introduced him officially to me, and I was like, introduced myself, stuff like that. And he's like, "Yeah, I told him he needs to take the Hood Time gimmick and go down there to Cape." And I said,
"Don't work like that, man."
I was like, "Well, first off, I didn't want to be that guy to be like, wait, are you and Hood Time the same person?" But also I was like, "Yeah, man, you'd have to probably come as a Showtime gimmick. I don't think that Hood Time gimmick would quite go over up north like it does down here in West Tennessee." But I think you have to agree. Some of the stuff they get by in West Tennessee would not fly anywhere else.
A lot of stuff, man. Like, I see people.
Which reminds me, I have a story to tell you after we get done recording.
I see people like try to start up like a gay gimmick or something. Like, that's not a gimmick. You can't. That's not right. You can't do that no more. Like, Memphis is like so stuck in their ways, man. They don't. see the way. They don't know how Twitter works. They don't know any of that stuff. They don't know.
Actually, I think that's one of the things that got you and I closer was our mutual, similar, I guess would be the word, views on politics and current social situations.
Yeah.
You know, which was exact opposite of your former tag partner.
Yes, that would boy, those conversations in the car.
Oh man,
we'd be arguing. I mean, it was never nothing like too serious, but he had his views, I had my views. So there was some, like when we was talking about politics, there was some heated arguments, but any other time, we was pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, so like I said, you know, it's been great talking with you. You know, I'm glad we got everything settled between us, and you know, we move forward. And you know, I expect to see big things out of you with the Young Goats, you and Zay.
And also don't forget Anna Fight Underground.
Hey man, I'm getting to it. I'm getting to it, man.
I'm finna take over there, man.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I know you cut from a certain cloth, but I'm telling you, man, some of them guys over there, they don't play them West Tennessee games. They don't play them CCW games.
Hey man, all I gotta say,
you know, there's no rules in the Fight Underground.
There's some plans in place. Things are looking good. I talked to some people. So we know. I know how it's looking at for me. Big League. I know you got a hand in some stuff over there, but you got a hand in what I'm working on.
You know, I've been known to be tied to some dangerous people, and
hey man, you're sitting right across from one. Hey, I'm a sleeper.
You're a sleeper, man. You know, I don't want you to run off like some of them other people do. They get their first little taste of the underground and they ain't seen or heard from again. And then some people too afraid to make it over to begin with. But that's another story for off air.
I ain't afraid. There's some people. We mentioned the tag team division.
Yeah.
There's some tag teams there I'd love to be in the ring with. So.
Oh yeah, most definitely. So yeah, speaking of moving forward, you know, you talked about the Young Goats. You talked about looking next weekend, looking at Bristol. Mm-hmm. Anna Fight Underground, February 25th, quick skating rink.
Yes.
You're going to be in the show. What are you doing on the show?
We're in a big scramble.
Okay.
I can't remember all the names in it. I know I'm in there. I know my tag partner, Zay Washington's in there. Ray Waddell's in there.
Oh, man. Ray Waddell's a beast.
I've heard. I've seen some stuff. I didn't really know him before I seen the poster, but I've been doing some research on those guys. I'd like to get in there with Ray Waddell.
Yeah. He's got his hands big over in the WWA over in Kentucky.
Okay.
And Evansville. But, yeah, there's some good, solid talent there. And they said it'll be your debut. It'll be Zay's debut over in the Fight Underground.
Yes, sir.
You think that any way like this could end the Young Ghosts before they get started? You think y'all two can keep business apart?
We understand that we both want to win matches, right? And we understand that some of those times is going to be against each other. Zay beat me forever, and we still rode in the car home together. So we've already been doing this. You know, we've been having these matches and making up and still rolling on. So I don't see no beef coming from that.
So from there, so after the scramble, so you think you're going to look at focusing more on the tag division in Anna Fight Underground?
We're looking into it, man. Like I said, there's some tag teams there that I
You think you could take out Roscoe Eat Lisa?
I'd love to, man. I wrestled Roscoe Eat Lisa.
Skimahorns?
Man, they've changed their name so many times the last 6 months.
From this podcast here, they're going to be known as Lethal Injection.
Okay, so yeah, Lethal Injection, man. I've worked with both of those teams before with previous tag partners. Both of them were with my brother when me and my brother were doing tag stuff. And, I mean, I enjoyed it both times, both teams. I'd love to do it again with Zay.
So are you down to get down with the Ultraviolence there?
So hear me out.
You know, we have a thing there called Tag Team Warfare.
I haven't heard of this.
So it's a tag team. You know, our first Tag Team Warfare was Cash Borden and Mickey Knuckles against Dalton Diamond and Ty Blade.
Okay, so here's my thing, Lee. I'm from Memphis, right? I didn't ever grow up watching deathmatch wrestling.
Yeah.
And looking at it now, it's not my cup of tea. But I see that there is the tag division that, you know, there's the people that aren't doing all death matches and stuff like that. And there's always room for those on shows. And I think I'm the guy to take that and lead it to the top, man.
Well, there you go. But just remember.
If I got to get put through a table, man, I'll do it. If that's what it takes for me to win, I'll go through a table or go through a ladder. If I got to get stabbed, I'm fighting. You're not going to stab me, I promise you.
I tell you, man, like some of that top tier talent we got, like that's what it's all about. You know, we're gonna get the boards. We're gonna get the bar. I mean, we got a barbed wire board match coming up.
Man, I see. I got there's some crazy stuff happening.
That's right, man. But hey, when you're in the fight underground, that's what it takes. You know,
that's what it takes.
Like you said, you know, it's not a kick punch bad guy situation over there.
No sir.
But yeah, well, like I said, man, like I wish you nothing but the best. You know, I look forward to seeing your work tonight here at 01. I look forward to seeing you back making your debut in the Anna Fight Underground. And where can everybody find you on the socials?
Man, Instagram is the Aaron Roberts. Twitter is Aaron_Roberts01. Then you can look me up on Facebook at Aaron Roberts.
What's that Parler?
I don't have a Parler. I never made it there, man.
Hey, you're going to get you one if you're going to promote yourself in West Tennessee now.
That's right. Well, I'm pretty sure they got shut down.
No, they came back.
It's all right.
Yeah, so it was one of those things because I laugh about it a lot, and I've lost a couple of Facebook friends over this recently. But so Parler got shut down over Amazon. Well, they basically got kicked off Amazon's hosting.
Yeah.
And so they went down. When they went down, they had virtually like almost no security. So a lot of people, their code was left open so they could people get in their accounts. They also turned over copies of their hard drive to the FBI. And then magically, some company, I forgot the name of it, but they also host like 8chan and stuff like that. So other sites that's known to push, I guess, quote unquote,
views.
Yeah, certain extremist views. That got put, you know, so they're on there now. So I don't think that they're still on the app stores, but I think you can still, you know,
You can find them somehow.
Well, you can go to the website and make your own app on the phone.
I've got some friend or family members and stuff on that app, man.
Oh yeah,
it's not for me.
yeah.
I'm kind of the outcast in that situation.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Some of those holiday conversations we recently just had.
Yeah,
it's not the easiest. But yeah, man, like I said, I appreciate you coming on here. I look forward to what you do in the future. And then, like I said, good luck tonight. Good luck in the Anna Fight Underground. And I want to thank everybody else for listening to this. We appreciate all the love and support. I'm glad all of us that made it through to 2021. You know, we're looking forward to a big year here at the Big Lee's World podcast. And I just want to thank y'all for all the love and support. Head over to BigLee'sWorld.com and pick you up a t-shirt for the Big Lee's World. Make sure to like, share, subscribe this podcast and this episode. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to shoot us an email at BigLee'sWorld@gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Big Lee's World. You can find us on all three of them there. No, we're not on Parler, so we will not be found there. And,
not yet.
Yeah, not yet. And I think it would take a lot to change that, too. But nonetheless, like I said, thank you, Aaron, once again for coming on here. Good luck tonight. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I appreciate the support. Much love. And as always, 2 scoops of whoop, whoop, whoop.